Hey there, this is Meshach Canyon, and this is another episode of Ask Pastor Meshach. Today's question deals with the relationship between faith and science. The questioner specifically wanted to know how we reconcile the story of creation in Genesis with recent scientific discoveries like the Big Bang and evolution and things of that sort. So it's a really good question, and let me just give some historical context briefly. For a long time, the Bible was the primary book that people used to learn about everything. I mean, you want to learn how to read, you open the Bible. In fact, that's the only book that people had. So, what many people began to do is read from the Bible something that the Bible wasn't trying to say. So, what do I mean by that? Well, for example, when you open Genesis and you read, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and on day one, he did this, and on day two, he did that." What people took from that was a scientific statement. There's 7 literal days of creation. But the Bible is not a science book, and it's not trying to give us scientific knowledge. The Bible is a theology book, and it's trying to tell us a story about God's dealing with human beings on the planet Earth. So, what happened is, as people were taking knowledge from the Bible that the Bible wasn't trying to give, when scientists would make discoveries that the earth is actually a lot older than we initially thought it was, those people, those Christians whose faith was in the fact that the earth was created 7,000 years ago, all of a sudden their faith is in crisis because their faith was rested upon knowledge from the Bible that the Bible wasn't trying to give. So how should we read the Bible? Well, when we see that the Bible says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," the theological statement that the Bible is trying to make is simply that before everything we see existed, God created it. He's the one that set all this stuff into motion. Now, that leaves room for science to come in and say, we have discovered that there seems to be a pattern that suggests an evolutionary process, or there seems to be a pattern that suggests to us that the earth is 1 billion years old or 100 million years old. None of that stuff should destroy or demolish someone's faith. Science is simply a tool. Indeed, if you read through the creation story in Genesis chapter 1, near the end of it, God commands Adam and Eve to have dominion over the earth, to be good stewards of the earth. So, in that process of being a good steward, that's where science serves humanity, because through science we study the natural world that we live in, and we come to have a better understanding of the world that we live in. So faith and science can actually work in a harmonious relationship with one another rather than being pitted against one another, as we often see in the news, where an atheist scientist will say this and a fundamentalist Christian will say that. I guess the last thing I'd say is that it's very important for Christians to remember what our faith rests on. Our faith doesn't rest on the fact that the Bible says there is a flood that covered the whole earth. Our faith doesn't rest on how old the earth is or things like that. What our faith rests on is God and Jesus Christ, his Son, whom he sent into the world to live for us and die and be resurrected for our salvation. So all the other scientific discoveries that are made, whenever you hear someone saying this disproves the Bible or this proves that the Bible is false, listen, there has been no discovery that has been made that has disproven the Bible or any of the truth claims that the Bible is seeking to make, particularly those that pertain to our salvation. So make sure that your faith is rooted and grounded in God. And that way, the scientific discoveries that are made, they can just serve you better in your attempt to live a life that's faithful to the God that created everything that we see. So to the questioner, thank you so much for submitting this question. That's the best that I can do. If anyone out there has another question, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you attend my church, then you can submit it in the comments section or shoot me an email, and I'll try to get to it in the next episode of Ask Pastor Meshach Anything. And please like and subscribe so that you can be aware of when those episodes release or some of the other videos I make release. All right. God bless you guys. Peace.